Hey, happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to another Chamber Check-In episode from Idaho's only five-star accredited chamber. Today, I get to share a little bit of a story of a really unique company, and which shows the diversity of chamber members that we have, almost 2,000 members, and we have such a diverse list of different chamber members. And that's a good reason. We fill all your needs out there for whatever credible company you're looking to engage with. And today we have a really fun story of a company called Squatchnut. And we have Brandon Hofheinz and Stu Johnson with us today to help share that story. Hey, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us on, Paul. This is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So Stu Johnson has been an ambassador of the chamber and a steward of the community for years. Stewart. And I'm so glad to see him on the screen today. It's been too long, Stu. And Brandon, you are a force to be reckoned with as well. You serve in our ambassador committee through Payment Stars, is also a chamber member, and this is your business, Squatchnut. And I'm so excited to share the origin story of that business and the upcoming SquatchCon event that you all have founded, and that's coming up soon. But first, Brandon and Stu, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourselves? Give the audience a little bit of background. And Stu, let's start with you, buddy. Tell us a little bit about your history of work and background that led you into this industry.
Thanks, Paul. So here's the deal. A lot of people know me from my days with the Air Club and that sort of thing. But a few years back, I got this idea to do SquatchCon, and it all sprung up from, I went to a Bigfoot event, okay? And I dragged my family there. They wanted to go. But on the way out, one of my daughters just said, mumbled under her breath, we could do something like this in Boise, and it would be 10 times better. So a few days later, I didn't think of it, just an offhand comment at the time. And then a few days later, I'm driving home from work and I go, you're dang right, we can do one that's that much better. So went home, told my family, we're putting on SquatchCon. That was a couple of years ago, actually a few years ago. And it was originally scheduled during COVID year, right? 2020. But it had to get canceled because of large events were not happening at the time. Right. And so pushed it out to 2021, a couple of years ago, and ended up having it in downtown Nampa. And I think we had about 3,000 people. And the biggest brainstorm that we came up with in terms of a successful event, I decided you have to have three things at a Bigfoot gathering. You got to have a full-size Bigfoot to get your picture taken with. And you got to be able to use your focus on your camera. You also need a map of where have we seen Bigfoot in Idaho, right? It's kind of focusing on Idaho. And then finally, I said, we have to have what I call an encounter board, but basically it's a bulletin board, 3x5 cards, so that at the event, because everybody you walk past at one of those events, you say, hey, have you seen Bigfoot? Have you heard Bigfoot? Have you done, wood knocks in it? And you want to ask everybody. So we did the bulletin board so that you could just, if you saw Bigfoot at Grand Jean Campground in 2005, you could write that on there and be as wordy as you want or as brief as you want. So I think it was pretty successful because of that. And then a couple of years later, fast forward to now, and then Brandon reached out to me earlier this year, Mr. Squatchnut there, and he goes, we need to do another SquatchCon. And it's just a celebration of Bigfoot. And I'm like, okay, let's do it.
Awesome.
And that's where we are. And that's where we are right now.
That's your story, and you're sticking to it. Well, I also got to let the audience know that Stu Johnson is the Olympic world record holder for burpees. I don't know if that's official, but I think you've done, how many burpees have you done consecutively every day for the last how many years?
Yeah, so 4.5 years now. At the end of this year, it'll be 5 years of doing 100 burpees every morning. And for the last couple of years, I've been putting them on, recording them every morning and putting them on TikTok. And I have to keep my running tally, right? So today was day 1,663, I believe. So that's 166,300 burpees.
So what we need to
Congratulations,
do,
Stu. That's
yeah,
so impressive.
we need to reach out to the Guinness Book of Records and let them know. I guarantee you could probably get that spot.
Well, the challenge is this. They would have to take my word for it because I was already 2.5 years in before I started putting them on TikTok. So
I'm
now
pretty sure
there's
they
my
would.
video proof of every day since then. But up until then, all I have is my word, which is a good thing. And I'm not a liar, but you can't prove it to the Guinness people by just saying, yes, I did it.
Hey, you've got Paul and me to vouch for you, buddy. That's all that matters.
We said it live here. We said it live here on the Chamber Check-In. Okay, Brandon, tell us about Squatchnut. What is this business? Give us a little bit about your background that led you to becoming an entrepreneur.
So my background, I have done so many things throughout my life. I was a financial planner. I served a mission for my church back then. And then I got back and I really didn't want to go to school at all. I hated school. And my dad was like, why don't you just get licensed? And you can do everything that I don't want to do, the annuities and life insurance, and I'll do all the security. So I did that with him, Summit Retirement Advisors, for about, I think, 8-9 years. Then parents got a divorce and then the economy hit 2008. And I just was like, yeah, I got to go off and do my own thing. Since then, I've done anything and everything. I've been door knocking. I mean, me and my brother, we started a sprinkler blowout business. And it was called Blow Bros. And so we did that for a couple of years just to kind of make a couple of bucks, right? So, you know, what I'm doing now, it led to Wells Fargo. And then I worked from the very ground up. I started at the call center in Boise. I was there for 3 years. And I said, this is absolute just a nightmare. I hate it. And so I tried to apply to become a banker, to go into the branch and be face-to-face, and everything was taken in the Boise area. And then I got a call from the recruiter when she was like, hey, do you want to come up to Coeur d'Alene? And I said, well, maybe. We need a Spanish-speaking banker. We don't have anybody. So I went up there for 5 years, became a branch manager, got into the treasury management, merchant services world, and I managed 69,000 small businesses. 2.1 billion was under my management. And so I helped a lot of small businesses out, and the whole entrepreneurial thing just, man, it just hit like it was crazy. And I was like, I got to do something like that. And then I went over and I helped my brother. I left Wells Fargo and I was working for a company called Harris, and great company, great people. It just didn't work out. And everything was tied up with that. And my buddy reached out to me and said, I know how it is to be let go from a job. And he just wanted to make sure that I was okay. Just a little bit personal stuff. Mental health is huge to me. My dad took his life 3.5 years ago. I've lost 10 friends and 3 family members to it now, not including my dad. And so when he kind of expressed to me that when he was let go, he kind of thought the same thing, and that it would be better if he just wasn't here. And that really just struck a chord with me. And I said, you know, how much that really weighs heavy on my heart. And I said, well, let's do something. So Squatchnut has been a dream of mine for 17 years. It was my gamer tag when I was playing Halo back in 98, 99, when everybody knew that Xbox 360 came out. And I said, I got this crazy idea. And if we do this, it could go places, and it may not. I don't know. But at least if it goes somewhere great, you don't ever have to worry about money again. If it doesn't, at least you'll have something really cool on your resume. And he goes, what is it? And I said, Squatchnut. And he goes, what the heck is Squatchnut? I said, dude, it is the iconic Idaho Sasquatch that is going to have a meaning behind it. And it's going to be one that everyone's going to want to get behind and follow. And he goes, what do you mean? And I said, this Idaho Sasquatch, because everybody loves Idaho, right? And we see it all the time. There's so many people that have Sasquatch stickers all over their vehicles. But my Idaho, or my Sasquatch, has got a hidden gem in it. And it's got the state of Idaho in between its legs. So it's a hidden gem. Stu's pointing it out. Nobody really can see it. And when people finally see that, they're like, oh my gosh, that is just genius, right? I'm like, hey, there's a hidden gem in this logo. And the big thing that we do is my website, we have over 1,000 different products that you can go and you can purchase. We're getting into local stores here. We've got a store in the mall. We've got some places up here that like up north and here in Pine, Idaho is where I'm at today. And just a huge thank you to Deborah and Hayhurst Airbnb, not the Airbnb, but B&B. They're letting me use their office today. Beautiful location if you're ever up here. But so that is the origins of Squatchnut, and I wanted to give back. So any purchase, so all my net proceeds that come from any purchase on my online business, I am donating to mental health because that means a lot to me. So I'm donating 5% of all my net proceeds to an organization or to mental health or to a nonprofit called Outfitters for Hope. And they're locally out of Boise, and they take kids from fallen heroes or they're have life-threatening illnesses, and we take them out on a hunting or a fishing trip that just can't be done. And it's not cheap because we have to have doctors, we have to have nurses, and a lot of time they have to have the medical supplies to be there to be able to go do this. So I wanted to start something to give back to the community, and why not do it through something that's so iconic that everybody loves, that and then we can get behind it and then just make it awesome. So that's kind of the origin.
Wow. Wow, Brandon, thanks for telling me that story. So Squatchnut is for Sasquatch lovers who want to have apparel like hats, like the one you're wearing, or t-shirts, or
Sure.
Yeah. And so I just had your website scrolling on the bottom of the screen. I'll put it up again a little bit. So you can go to squatchnut.com, buy some apparel, rep the brand, rep the Idaho Sasquatch, and then go to the SquatchCon conference event coming up in August. And let's kind of go right to that. But first, I want to say, like, for those that are nuts about Sasquatch, go to squatchnut.com to get your apparel. Okay, and all these proceeds, or a certain percentage of proceeds, are going to the nonprofit of that Brandon was talking about earlier. So I think that's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about SquatchCon for those that have no idea. And I have a little joke here that Holly Cook sent me. It says, Bigfoot is sometimes confused with Sasquatch. Yeti never complains. So thank you, Holly, for that one. I know, Stu, you like that one. But let's start out with, I have this cool video to share. Let me add this to the stream and show this video really quick. Where'd it go?
There she blows.
I gotta open it up here. I think I went too far.
Uh-oh.
You should just be able to by clicking on it. There
Are you ready to uncover the mysteries of Bigfoot? Join us for SquatchCon Idaho 2023. This year, we're bringing the magic directly to your screen, or join us in person. Witness the world premiere of the enhanced Paul Freeman Bigfoot footage. Doug Hychek discovered a secret within this enhanced video you'll have to see to believe. Hear from an all-star panel of Bigfoot experts like Dr. Jeffrey Meldrum, Cliff Barackman, Brian King-Sharp, and Michael Freeman. But that's not all. Get exclusive online bonuses such as Bigfoot-themed wallpapers, a Bigfoot coloring book, an interactive Bigfoot quiz, Squatchnut field guide, get a copy of the Freeman Bigfoot Files ebook, and more. Whether you attend in person or watch it live online, you'll be part of an unforgettable experience. Don't miss out on this unique opportunity. Secure your spot today. SquatchCon Idaho 2023. Step into the unknown. Are you ready to uncover the mysteries of Bigfoot? Join us for SquatchCon Idaho.
Let me break this out here.
Yeah.
Wow, that was cool.
Yeah. So well done, right? Doug Hychek actually created that for us.
That's a cool video. Now, so Stu, why don't you tell us a little bit about the founding of SquatchCon and why?
Well, so like I said previously, I figured, hey, we can put on something to celebrate Bigfoot and pull it off and make it really super nice. But I needed those three elements that I mentioned. And so that's just the beginning of it. And like I said a few minutes ago, then Brandon reached out to me and he's like, hey, let's do another SquatchCon for this year. And I'm like, do we have enough time to do it? But I didn't know him very well at that time. Now I know what kind of a doer and a go-getter this Brandon guy is, because he is like totally out of control. Let me tell you. And the way that I don't want to call it a test, but this is hilarious because during our initial meeting when we met, we're talking about SquatchCon. He's telling me about Squatchnut. And somewhere in there, he says, yeah, and we're going to need to do a podcast, start a podcast or whatever. And it's like, yeah. And then, but I listen when we're having our conversations, and we're walking out to our vehicles after it's over. And I said, oh, by the way, I'm going to reserve the podcast booth at the library, at the Meridian Library, for next Tuesday. If you're not available Tuesday, let's do it Wednesday, and we'll get started on our podcast. And when he said, yeah, let's go for Tuesday, I knew how serious he was, because I would say that 99 people out of 100 would say, well, we got to figure out first, what are we going to call it? What are we going to do that? And I'm like, and he's in total agreement. We just have to do it, and it will start evolving from there. And that's what we did. It's called Beyond the Footprints. We've been getting some recognition because people are watching and downloading. We have high percentages. What are we, Brandon, in the top
10%?
10% of all podcasts, no matter how big, no matter where they reach, of people that download. So we have great followers that listen to our podcast. We usually try to talk about experiences. The first actual podcast that we did, we both talked about our own personal Bigfoot or Sasquatch incidents or encounters, or whatever you want to call it. So,
yeah, that's awesome, Stu. Brandon, tell us anything else while we have a couple more minutes. I'm going to put your Squatchnut.com website scrolling on the bottom of the screen, and tell us about what we can experience at SquatchCon this year and anything else.
So SquatchCon, guys, you're not going to want to miss it, okay? So this is something that we decided that we wanted to do together. I reached out to Stu and I said, why do this by myself when somebody's already done it? Let's just do it together. And it's been phenomenal. I reached out to Jeff Meldrum, and not even thinking he would respond, and sure enough, he did. So Dr. Jeff Meldrum actually responded, and he goes, how many other speakers do you got? So then we got Cliff Barackman, we got Brian King Sharp coming, and then Brian and I were having a conversation, and he was like, man, I'm trying to get this enhanced footage on my show with Doug and all these other guys, and I can't get them all in one place. And I said, well, everyone's going to be at our SquatchCon. Why don't we just do it there? And he goes, that's actually kind of a great idea. So then I got a hold of Michael Freeman, whose dad actually captured this footage on camera. And he goes, let me talk to Doug Hychek. So Doug Hychek, guys, if you guys haven't heard about Doug Hychek, he is actually legendary. So he is on, he filmed the largest squid, 54 feet. And he had Monster Quest, if you guys remember, that was on, I think, the Discovery Channel. And then he had Finding Bigfoot, Survivor Man, and then Legends Meet Science 1, and now he's working on number 2. He reached out to me and he goes, Brandon, you're onto something. You are going to take this thing worldwide. And I said, yeah, I'm going to do a live event. And he goes, how are you going to do it? I'm like, I don't know, but we're going to do it. And he's like, let me help. And I'm like, what do you guys want to do? So we've had meeting after meeting after meeting. We finally got the filming contract all finalized to put that commercial together. And he's bringing his film crew. And he's going to be having Legends Meet Science 2 film crew there, who's going to be filming and putting everything on his second movie. Him, I believe. Yeah. And so it's going to be in person, and it's going to be online. So if you can't make it in person, go online and watch it. But we want you guys to come in person. It's not going to be something you're going to want to miss. This has never been done before, ever. And so now we're looking about, doing it nationwide, or even we have an invitation to maybe go to UK. Who knows? So cool. Anyway, yeah, SquatchCon is going to be huge. Be there or be square.
There you go. You do not want to miss it.
Well, Stu and Brandon, thank you so much for taking your time to help share the Squatchnut.com story with all the branded apparel and the really cool Idaho hidden gem in the Sasquatch logo, the Idaho Sasquatch logo. I think that's cool. It's unique. And then Stu's trying to show
find the hidden gem and point out. There we go.
But I love both of y'all's energy and vibrancy. August 26th at the Indian Creek Plaza, squatchcon.com. Go to squatchnut.com first, get your apparel, and we'll see you at the show. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your chamber membership and involvement in the community. This is a great way to send us into another great weekend. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul. Totally.